The biggest things too is sharing memories together. So I'm a big solo travel guy, and I like that too. But there's nothing like going, with a freaking your bro. And we can remember this for the rest of our lives, right? I've been to many places where I'm solo, and I had these memories in my head, but you're not sharing them. When you have those type of experiences, because in the end, it's all that really matters is relationships. You can have the most money in the world, see the coolest places, but to not share it with anyone is not fun. You're crazy. What are you doing? How are you going to survive? How are you going to make money? What would you say to people who are normally in this situation to be able to be like, no guys, trust me, I'm going to make it happen?
I mean, that's the selfishness. Do you have confidence in yourself? Is there a certain type of lifestyle or life that you want? At some point, you have to stop following the game plan that someone else had for you.
You are about to embark on a journey, not just through space and time, but through the very fabric of human perception. Imagine a world where the familiar becomes strange, and the strange becomes familiar. A place where the boundaries of reality blur, and the only limit is your imagination. This is a voyage into the heart of the unknown, where every turn reveals a new perspective, and every story challenges what you thought you knew. Welcome to Bold Perceptions, where we explore the myriad ways people see the world and discover that sometimes the most extraordinary adventures lie just beyond the horizon of our own understanding.
Back in Bold. Oh, wow. 4 months, Zach. It went a little fast, no?
4 months. It did go quick. It went quick.
Basically, we're going to have a little conversation. The last 4 months of traveling together. We had that original one, What to Know Before South America. We recorded back home in Minnesota. But yeah, I want to hear kind of your realizations, life on the road, the nomadic life, kind of the experience, what we do differently, what you did right. Let's get into it.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about it. If this is your first time on here, we are pretty much talking about two childhood friends traveling nomadically together and our experiences with it. This is my first time in Latin America or South America, where Nick has more experience with it. But it's not just going to be about me. I'm going to ask you questions about it as well, because we have some of the same similarities and same conversations. And I think instead of you interviewing just me, we're going to go back and forth. So life lessons, traveling lessons, experience traveling together, arguments, fun stories, whatever we want to talk about.
Yeah, so first off, we went to Buenos Aires. I left a little earlier. I went to Medellin for a couple weeks, but then Zach hit Rio, and we got our feet wet down in Argentina. And I was kind of pushing him to do a different country, but he said, no, I want to do this for this reason, that reason, mostly like the safety, the European lifestyle, just a really good place to get your feet wet. And yeah, man, Argentina was a blast. I think it was everything and more than I wanted, relating to finding the balance between Latin America and Europe. We met so many good people. I had a good little road trip, went to some village in the middle of nowhere, Pigüe, and then the Bariloche. But Buenos Aires, I think it was a great spot. You fell in love, didn't you?
Yeah, I really like Buenos Aires. I really like the city. I like how walkable it is. I can pretty much get anywhere that I want to. I thought that the expensiveness was overblown a little bit. Yes, if you're going to eat out all the time, it's going to be expensive, but we met a lot of great people. The city was great. The weather was great until kind of the last few weeks, which is why we are now here in Asunción, Paraguay. But yeah, it was really great experience. I recommend it for anyone who comes to Latin America or South America as like a good first spot to go, because of the safety, because of the city, because of the culture. But that may change because seems to be getting more expensive compared to the majority of South America.
Yeah, now he's finally getting a taste about this. We talked about the introduction to Asunción, Paraguay, about the price shock. Like here, it feels like, okay, yeah, you're in Latin America. Your dollar goes pretty far. In Buenos Aires, you're still living good. You're still paying cheap rent, Uber, get some meat, vino, all that. But when you drop down here, I think, and now he extended his stay for a month, he's like, holy shit, like I can save a lot of money. I could live a very good lifestyle. It's still somewhat modern. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic. But first, I think we need to hit more on that Buenos Aires. Like, just tell me, okay, the lifestyle compared to where you've been from. Obviously, you did Barcelona, so you have an idea of that European type feel, but was like a complete culture shock for you, the way of life? Do you like it better than USA? How did that go?
Yeah, we can touch on that. We obviously have a couple other podcasts where we kind of go deep in depth on Buenos Aires and our experience there. So I recommend that you guys check that out. But just from my experience from living in America the majority of my life, I've traveled internationally, have stayed in Europe for a little bit of time. The one thing, yes, the first week, anytime you go to a new country, I say this every time, you're going to be kind of like in shock because you don't have the conveniences that you would have in America. It is a little bit of a culture shock at first, just because it's super new. You're in a completely new environment and a completely new culture. But then once you embrace it and enjoy being there and just being a part of it, it's just like your life anywhere else. Now, yeah, I would say the apartments are not as modern, but they're half the damn price of America. So if you're there for a couple of months, it's still good quality. The restaurants are really no different outside of the language. There's not as much variety especially in Argentina, where here in Paraguay, there's a lot more variety of food. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously changes anywhere you go across the world, but I don't think it's really that much different at all. I mean, what do you think? Like, obviously, you haven't lived in America in a long time. You're kind of used to traveling around and being in new cultures and places.
Yeah, let's get the bullshit. Let's get into some interesting stuff. So one thing you said, well, I want to get into proximity versus
No, not yet. Let's talk about this.
But I'm gonna talk about Argentina. I'm gonna say you had a tweet that said, okay, I think a lot of people when they first start doing this lifestyle, the first place they went to, they fall in love with. You know what I mean? Like where it's a special place in your heart. A lot of nomads will say, okay, the Playa del Carmen, the Guadalajara, Mexico City, you know, wherever they first went, Medellin, like it's stuck with you. That kind of.
Yeah, I agree because it's your first time out of the new environment and that's the first culture that you get like embraced and thrown into. The same thing happened to me when I lived in Europe for 3-4 months. My main spot was Barcelona. I visited 8 or 9 other countries. And the thing that was close to my heart was the place I spent the most time. And the first place I went to was Barcelona. And so I think when you get on this travel and nomad journey, typically the first 1 or 2 spots, unless you have a terrible experience in the first spot or you choose bad, is kind of has that close knit. You like love that place in that country more than the majority of the cities that you see after. So for me, I chose Argentina because of the European vibe, the walkability, the safety, big meat culture. And those are things that I like. And I think for a long time, Argentina will have, that place in my heart when it comes to Latin America and South America. So would you agree?
Yeah, it's great. I like it a lot. Big time. I think also on this conversation is that's why you can't take too many opinions about places as 100% fact, because your view of Buenos Aires in Argentina is completely different than all the gringos online bashing it. Now they say because the money, right? It's expensive, but like it's a good thing for people to understand. Like a lot of what happens to someone in a place is about the people they meet, is about a time in their life, is like for some reason, my brain, everywhere I go, I enjoy it. I see the pros, I find the pros. Doesn't mean I'll return every single spot. I mean, maybe if I have the time or if I want to do it, but it's, I think the bigger conversation on that aspect is you can find greatness and beauty and friendship everywhere, basically.
For sure.
And it really hits nomads when they first start living this life and they're totally pattern broken and, their brain is on, nonstop and there's no comfort whatsoever. They get attached to things that happen. But
what about, wasn't the first place you went to is Brazil in Latin America? No?
Playa del Carmen.
Okay. I mean, like a little bit south, like
South America was Floripa. Yeah.
Okay. And you have this huge love for Brazil, though. Anytime, like we were just in Ciudad del Este with the Iguazu Falls, like we're just passing the border and he's got this excitement for Brazil. Oh, beleza. I think that is one of the places that you just love going back to. You can see yourself there all the time, but your energy changes when you're in Brazil. Would you kind of say it's similar?
Yeah, I think Floripa too. I was set on getting a place there. I said, this is amazing, this and that. Then I explored the rest of the country and I loved it. But also I've been happy to be away from Brazil. I had some traumatic things happen to me and, emotions and drama. And I know the negatives of that country. I know I can't stay in that country for more than 6 months. I go freaking wild. That's why I was so happy with Argentina. I felt like, damn, this is the best balance between Latin America and Europe that I found because I love Europe. Before, if I stayed out of Europe for, more than 6 months, fuck it, even 4 months, I would be like, damn, I want to go back to that Euro lifestyle. I want to see cobblestone streets. I want to be safe, put AirPods in, walk anywhere, drink a spritz at 5 o'clock with friends, but Argentina kind of switched that need. And I talked about this. I said, damn, maybe I don't even need to go back to Europe and be great with the time zone and whatnot. But I just say, hey, I get my Euro fix in Argentina, and then I go crazy in Colombia and Brazil and so forth. But my first place was the Riviera of Mexico, and I still like it, but
You haven't been back since.
no, and I don't think I want to. Like, I'll go to other parts of Mexico and check it out. Like, I love the Caribbean type waters in the Riviera. I like the Yucatan too, going through there. But yeah, I mean, it gets way more fun, way more exciting the more south you go, in my opinion.
Okay. So then I think we touched on that a little bit. We have pods talking about it a little bit more in depth. What is, from our experience, the last 4 months? I know you've met friends, you know people in other countries, but how has your experience been, probably for the first time, just like me, traveling with a childhood friend? We've known each other for plenty of years, since middle school, high school. How has that been for the first time for you?
There's pros and cons. Like, obviously, and I did once with Jake, which ended in a disaster, Mr. Jake Ryan. It wasn't terrible, but the guy, I still love you deep down, but there's pros and cons to that, because a lot of times when you travel, you're completely new, fresh. You know what I mean? Now, when you bring along or you're with someone that has known you forever, like, you bring up stuff from way back, and that's good. That's comfort. Like, oh, dude, remember that? We have conversations. We feel, good together. We can talk about anything, but also, like, bro, I'm not the same person I was when I was 13. And luckily, I was never a dork. I was never a nerd. But, like, well, Zach will attack me a lot, and I'll attack him too. It's, back in the day.
It's more of just friends giving each other shit. And so when we talk about it all the time, sometimes too, we obviously give each other shit, and we can get in arguments over dumb things and just go at each other. And to other people that might be around, they're like, what the hell's going on? But to us, it's just friends giving each other shit. We don't carry it on to the next day or even the next hour, where other people, they might get in a spat with someone new, and it's like they all of a sudden aren't friends anymore or talk. Like, we'll just give each other shit. It's just friends being friends, and it's never really carried on. Like, we're not like, oh shit, like, get the hell away from me. It's literally an hour later, things are fine. Next day, things are fine. We're still hanging out. So that, I guess, yeah, that is a con. But it's also kind of funny.
But add in, yeah, it's fun talking about the past and doing all that. But
we're not even talking about the past. We're just giving each other crap.
But your perception of me, because you've known me much longer and so forth, is a lot different than people that freshly meet me, or, who I am as a person from now, when I was 18 to when I was 10, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, and we bring it up soon, the proximity versus authenticity or whatever, is like, a lot of people back home, you go to the same bar every day, you've had the same high school friends, and you're always trapped in a bubble of who you were. You know what I mean? And you never really jump out of it, because you're like, oh, that's not you. I know who you were when we played Call of Duty online together back in the day. Like, why do you like ballet now, or why do you like this
acting
kind of music?
Different or changing, or you're new identity,
and you're stuck. But, like, bro,
crabs in the bucket. It's like everyone tries to pull you back down to kind of your old position.
And so when you're with someone that knew you when you were younger, and I love who I was when I was younger, but now I've lived all over the world. I've done a lot of different things. It's not, the same high school relationship, right? So you kind of have these issues on that end. But again, on the flip end, the pros 10x outweigh the cons. Someone, hey, I have issues here, I need you to help me, or, like, you're always hanging out, and you have your bro with you, you can have conversations about this lifestyle, or back in the day, and try to figure things out. So overall, for sure, the pros outweigh it. I think the biggest thing is you need to get different apartments. Okay. Which we did since day one. I learned that lesson from when I first tried it.
And we were originally thinking about living together, but because we booked everything so late, like, the style of apartment that I wanted just wasn't available. So we're just like, let's just book separate, which was really smart, because, right, you don't know how each other lives or how messy or organized everyone is. So it's good to be separate. And when you do have spats, like, you have your place to go back to. You don't have to be hanging around each other. So living separately is really smart. Just living somewhat near each other is still great, because then you have someone to go to cafes with, go out to dinner, meet new people together. It makes socializing that much easier when you have someone that you can do things with all the time.
100%. I think staying away from each other, not only for these reasons, but also when you're first starting out, you need to get you can't have your hand held, which you haven't done for the most part. But you need to be on your own, find your own cafe, do things, and not be reliant on someone that maybe has done it. So I think that's the biggest thing. If you're going to travel with someone, get separate spaces, have time away. Don't go to the same cafe every day. Meet, go out with different friends, not all together the whole time. But it also eliminates all that bullshit. So like, instead of pulling up to Mundolingo by yourself, you're with your bro. And you go in there, you talk together, and you meet new people, and you go on that end. So tell me more. You're interviewing me, you said.
Yeah, I mean, I think my opinion, or just like even a piece of advice, is if you're thinking about traveling or nomading or doing this for a few months, it's going to be much easier if you have another friend that's willing to do it with you, or you have another friend who's out there and maybe you want to go visit them, because now you're getting shown the ropes. You're getting shown how things operate, how to communicate, how to socialize in another country, because it is different. It's much different than in the US and Western countries. But it makes you feel way more comfortable and way more confident being in a place where you know someone and you can go do things together. You can meet people together. They meet new people. They introduce you to them. You meet new people. You introduce them to them. So I highly recommend that if you have friends or you have an online business or know people that do things remotely, that you might as well do it with other people, because it makes it that much easier and that much more fun and enjoyable. You meet people and then you can go to other places after solo, and you've met people together, where maybe you go to another city and now you have people to connect with and that are already friends with. Like, it's way more advantageous to you rather than being the person completely solo and trying to figure it all out on your own.
The biggest things too is sharing memories together. So I'm a big solo traveler guy, and I like that too. But there's nothing like going, with a freaking your bro to Bariloche. He has a drone too, so we're doing drone content. We're taking photos of each other. We can remember this for the rest of our lives, right? I've been to many places where I'm solo and I had these memories in my head, but you're not sharing them. You know what I mean? You have it, which is good. I think you should do both. But when you have those type of experiences, because in the end, that's all that really matters is relationships. You can have the most money in the world, see the coolest places, but to not share it with anyone is not fun, right? So there's a healthy balance between the solo travel and this and that. But so we go on these trips. Okay, Zach's taking care of the car. Okay, we had the Airbnb on this end. Got it going. We're all splitting different things and creating a beautiful time together. So that's special. That's rare. Like we talk about all the time. Not many people went to Bariloche with their childhood friend from USA. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That's unique.
Memories can be fleeting. And so obviously we both do content as we are doing now, and it's good to have other people to create it with, but also to look back on these memories is really cool too. So when you have friends together, you're creating content together, you're creating those memories. I always say, I don't want to be 50 or 60 or 70 speaking to my grandkids and I don't have experiences or stories to talk about. That's one of the great things about traveling and being able to do it with a close friend is, we could sit there in the same room at 60 years old and we're going to have things that we can pull from and talk about and laugh about that nobody that we know pretty much has the same type of experience. So we get to pull that, and we're one of few that get to do that. And the more friends you make, the more experiences you create. So yeah, it's a really cool way to look at it.
I think another pro is keeping each other accountable. Okay, so he keeps telling me, "Oh, you're fat now. You need to get in shape." But there's a point to it too, and I think when you go to some of these places, especially the places that don't have much money, and you're just living like a king, and everyone will tell you you're amazing, this and that, you don't get slapped in the face from what actual reality is from where you're from, or like life. Like, it's easy to go in a slippery slope. Okay, so
yeah,
now we're playing catch, and I'm trying to watch my weight a little bit, but I'll be fine when I go back to my professional athlete life. But this is a good thing. You can't just party every night because your friends be like, "Yo, are you doing anything? Are you working? Where's your next YouTube video? What's going on?" So accountability partner is massive, especially if you're not a disciplined person yourself. Luckily, I've had discipline, a decent amount for my whole life, but a lot of dudes come down to, El Poblado and they just get lost in the sauce. And guess who they gravitate towards? Other people lost in the sauce. So now they're in a group of dudes that are like, no, it's fine to party 5 days a week. It's fine to do drugs every day. No, that's not good. So if you have someone that you trust that's actually doing things, properly, that's not, just getting lost in the sauce, that is massive to have.
Yeah, and I mean, we both come from athletic backgrounds, so accountability is kind of normal in our DNA essentially. So we would choose days where we're like, hey, let's go to this neighborhood or this area and like create content or work here. So we're holding each other accountable to get things done, to create content, to keep things rolling. And yeah, that's massively important. Where, like you said, if you get lost in the sauce and you're paying 50% cheaper than back home and you can just chill and hang out and drink all the time, you're going to sit there and do that for months. And then at some point you're going to be like, I haven't really created any real experiences, done any real travel, created any new relationships. So it's important to obviously stay, like we say, like
best
in a
case
routine
scenario,
anywhere.
the best case scenario that happens. Otherwise you end up robbed. People die, people get really messed up in this type of thing. So accountability is huge with someone down here. But I think the main thing here, the biggest topic I want to talk about, because I've dealt with it through these travels, is what you tweeted. You had a situation here about, proximity versus authenticity. Yeah, I can't even say it right now. It's ridiculous. But the idea of when you leave where you're from, what happens to those relationships? What happens to back home? What happens to where things go? And before you hop onto it, I feel through this life, it becomes more clear when you leave everything. You see things more objectively from afar about who's your friend, who's not, your family, what matters to you, what's important. Does the local bar and you being cool at that in some city actually matter? Or, everything like doesn't matter as much anymore besides the things that matter the most, which is your family and your really good friends who show you they're your good friends, even if you don't see each other for years on end. So tell me about kind of that situation.
Yeah, and it that didn't stem from just 4 months being here. That's something I noticed when I moved away to Florida 4 years ago in 2020. It's just something that you recognize that once you're not in that local circle and in that local area, you're not going to hear from everyone that you think you're going to hear from. You might have 20, 25 friends back in that circle and only a few of them are going to reach out. And the longer you're away, the less people are going to reach out. The less people are going to want to, come visit or call you a few times a year. So that's just normal. That's just like really just life. But you do recognize those friends who do go out of their way to call you every couple months and just see what's up, check in, how's life going, what's your plans, things like that. Like I now only have maybe 1 or 2 friends from back home that will, consistently reach out to me every few months. Love all my friends back home. It's great when we're back there. It's literally no different, but you do recognize, like you said, like who's actually there, who wants to keep in touch, who still wants to meet up, who still wants to, go on vacations or things together. And I think that's really important. I think a lot of people overthink it and be like, oh, my friends don't like me or all of this shit. I don't think that's true at all. It's just, you just start growing up and maturing. Everyone's living different lives. And at some point you have to be selfish for your own self because everyone else is living in their own selfish world. They have things that they need to take care of. And just like you with the tweet, and I'm going a little bit long here, but with that tweet, 80% of it was about just me not being able to go back to a wedding because I'm enjoying where I am now and I'm halfway across the world and I'm in a great situation in Asunción, Paraguay, where I have a great apartment. I have everything I need here. I feel focused and re-energized. And for me, traveling again, going back, spending thousands of dollars to go back and then not sure when to come back here, it just made sense to be selfish and be like, you know what, I'm going to stay here for now rather than go back for a wedding.
It was bigger than that, though.
How?
Because some of these dudes, in the situation, you didn't feel maybe you were getting as much back for the relationship as you've given. So, like... Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, like when you move away, like let's say 4 years ago, when you move away, if you're the one that's calling people and checking in with them, you've called them 5 or 6 times and no one's called you, then you take the foot off the gas a little bit on that relationship because, right, you can't just put 100% effort in when other people are putting 5%, right? So that's where you understand like where your real friends are and who wants to, right, still connect with you and keep that relationship authentic, even though you're not proximal to where they are. But yeah, it's not directed at any, direct person, but me and you have had the same conversation, which is the question I have to you. Cause we've talked about this a lot, which is you say you can get lonely in this travel life when you're not speaking to people and talking to people and having people to have conversations with. What's like your take on that? How do you stay kind of centered, with your friends? Because you've mentioned that a lot, and I don't think
Yeah,
it's been on
well, one thing I
thought as
think is
much.
that there's a lot of people living where they're from or living a life that is somewhat fake. Like your friends, not really. They're there because you're there. You know what I mean? You're in the same area. You go to the same bar. You're drinking buddies. You're this buddy. But the second you left for a while, that relationship would fold like this. This happens to a lot of people. Okay, you know, like a lot of these relationships are built on some comfort, some this and that, and you don't really get to see the true picture of things until you leave it for a little bit. And I think you've experienced that a little bit. I have many times. But the loneliness aspect, I think I like it a lot because ever since I started doing this, I started seeing who's in my life and who's not in my life, who wants to make the effort. And of course, you need to make the effort as well. But like you said, if you're calling them 5 times and they're never calling you, that's a freaking problem. You know what I mean? So I have dealt with this in a realization of like, yeah, like there's a Dunbar's number or whatever. Like in your brain, you can only handle like 150 acquaintances. Out of that, like 50 are like people, you'd have a conversation with. You know, out of 20, they're like, I consider you somewhat of a friend. And maybe 5 are like, yeah, if I need something, they're going to be there for me. Okay. And that's normal. A lot of people live in this la la land where they think they have 50 people that are actually going to go to the hospital and make sure they're okay. It's not the truth. But how I've dealt with this loneliness thing, and it's very tough living this life, okay? It's not, you get way better at it as you do it, you know, just because after you went through the shit and everything turned out okay, you realize that this will happen again, right? But it usually hits me every like 4-ish months. And, you know, you're like, oh my God, you know, what am I doing? You know, who cares about me? I'm in a foreign world, you know, no one speaks my language, blah, blah, blah. I say, don't do anything emotional. Don't book a flight. Don't be stupid. And usually I wake up in the morning and say, damn, this is a beautiful life. I am so freaking grateful. I feel so free. I know I have people that really do care about me, you know, that I've learned over the years. And also, what has helped a lot, because I'm a little different. As in half of the year, I'm put into a group, okay, that treats me like
Yeah.
family. You know, with American football, it's very different than, you know, a normal nomad. I'm thrown into the culture, so I get that feeling, that sense of home, that sense of community. But I've learned when I do my other half of the year, the nomadic life, is I need to meet more people from my culture. I can't be Mr. Immersion guy. I can't just hang out with locals that grew up in a completely different world than I did. I'm not talking about rich versus poor or whatnot, but I'm just talking about a different lifestyle. I need to find people that can relate to me. Okay. And that's what I've done recently, is doing these Mundulingos, expat groups, Twitter people, you know, talking to Jeff and, you know, these guys in the building and hanging out with them. That gives me a sense of like familiarity, right? And the other thing, the biggest thing, is a routine. So in the morning, I do my affirmations. Boom, 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 boom. My headspace is totally the same every freaking day after I do them. I meditate at night, getting workouts in, which I've been a little lazy on doing, but having like anchor points in your life that create a sense of home in your brain, because the external world is always different for the most part, right? The patterns break. You know, this person speaks this language. You know, now you're in Portuguese and in Brazil. Nothing makes sense. Okay, architecture, everything. But if you can find a way to feel normality in your day-to-day life through the affirmations, through meditation, through working out, that will keep you sane.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. But what I was going off of was we just started traveling together these last 4 months. But even then, we still lived across continents, across countries, and we still were talking multiple times throughout a year. More, 5 to 10 times throughout the year, on the phone, through text, things like that. And so even though he was gone, he was pushing me to travel with him for literally the last 2 years, and then I eventually did it. But he still kept that relationship there because I still proceeded to call him and talk with him about it as well. And so our relationship, even though we weren't proximal or near each other for a long period of time, we still were able to connect and have an authentic relationship where eventually it led to us actually traveling together. So, I think that is really important. Nick does that well because it allows him, when he is fully immersed in other cultures, to still speak with people that he can relate to and connect to and all of that. And I think that's really important when you're traveling, whether you're someone that leaves your hometown or leaves the city that you're most familiar with, is double down on those relationships with the people that do, proceed to call you and have those conversations, because those relationships, the ones that keep in touch with me, continue to get stronger even when we're not together because we're talking and having those conversations. So that's what I was going off of, which is like, you've done that well because you've traveled for so long. I'm getting to experience that a little bit more, even though I lived away in the US, but now I'm international where it's just not as easy for me to take flights to places and just go on trips whenever I want, essentially. So yeah, I think that is just kind of a good point to touch on.
You have to shoot the puppy. You have to jump in the deep end. Once you jump in the deep end, everything clarifies, okay? This person actually gives a fuck about me. I give a fuck about them. But if you don't ever cut the cords, do all that kind of thing, what is the cord from the womb? They put that thing in the baby.
Umbilical cord.
If you don't cut your umbilical cord, you'll never know what is real and what is not. I'm serious. So like a lot of people, they go through life thinking that, yeah, this is my great friend because we went to freaking math class in 5th grade, but is he really? Are you sure? And that is something you develop on the road because it's just you all alone. Okay. And not face to face with anyone else. And everything becomes way more clear. You have a lot of time to think, on the road solo like that. That is some realizations you come to. Now, how do you balance between being selfish and being unselfish? Okay. That is a thing that has to be understood because I dealt with that when my freaking grandpa died and I was in Thailand. I took a 36-hour flight to his funeral. And at the time I was thinking, should I do this? Like, I actually questioned, like, oh, but I'm here. Like, I just got here, and why am I doing this? But then, I talked to my people. I'm like, you need to go. You need to fucking go. You know what I mean? And I went there, and I gave a speech, randomly that I wasn't supposed to give. And I was very blunt about it. And but I just thought, I'm like, damn, I'm doing all these things. That's great. It's beautiful. I'm seeing all these places, living, a very good life, in my opinion. But what does it even matter? Like the people I'm with, they don't care about me. I never talk to them again. Out of the 100 people I meet, maybe 10 I have some sort of contact with, maybe 5 I call, once a couple of months, and maybe 2 I see again. So I'm spending all this time, and here's my family who's been with me since day one. Like, why am I not giving them more of my time? And some people have bad families, okay? Some people have bad friends and all that, and you can't be, attached to that. Like, if that doesn't make you happy, then you have to make decisions, okay? But also, you got to look deep down, like, damn, who am I going to call if I'm going to die? You know what I mean? And you need to give them that sort of love. So when Zach comes down here, we talk a lot of shit together, but for the most part, bro, I've tried very hard to make sure you're okay, to make sure you're doing well, to introduce
the same,
people.
I've tried to take care of him. Yeah, but your family is very important. So also don't forget that if anyone you're reaching out to and speaking to, call your parents. Let them know you're fine. They're freaking out half the time when you're in another country. So let them know everything's okay. See how life is going there. It's very important. Family is super important, especially when you're traveling. And the older that you get, the less you see your parents. Once you move out of your home, the less you're going to see them every single year. So you want to be able to put them first as well.
But what's super cool about this travel lifestyle, if you're going to live it, is when you can get your parents to come visit you that 1 week, that 2 week in some foreign country where you're hanging out almost every day. You're going to unique, restaurants and having a good time. It's like 6 months of normal life back where you're from. Oh yeah, okay. On Friday, we'll go to the pub together, or we'll go, have a dinner. But it's not like, never feels alive when they're with you in a foreign place and their brain is going crazy too. It's like life times 10. You know what I mean? So definitely try to meet your parents somewhere. If you got the money, try to pay for them to come down there, but just do something, because yeah, it's tough. I'll start seeing your parents getting older and older. I was just talking to George about that. Like, that's why he's mostly based in Rio recently, is because he needs to go back because his parents are dying, But does your parents want you to just sit with them the whole time while they die? I mean, I hope not. I mean, that'd be kind of tough, but also you need to be there by them and, give what they gave to you, because they supported you. They raised you, 18 years they did all this stuff.
What is cool though, is when you are traveling, these are new experiences for you. But my parents and my family never traveled internationally outside of Mexico. And now you get to, if you have a good family and good parents and they're able to come visit you, now you get to provide new experiences and new places that they would have never seen before, because they want to experience it with you. And that's also new memories, experiences, stories that you get to talk about with other family members, aunts, uncles, cousins, that your mom or dad were able to come visit you in this new country and experience that this country isn't what the news tells you about, or this isn't what you think it's all about. Like, it's a really cool thing to be able to have the opportunity.
And they get to go back home and tell all their girlfriends, "Oh my God, my son is so amazing!" And yeah, it's beautiful, right? But tell me, Zach. So these 4 months, really living nomadically, because in Barcelona, you were thrown into something, right? It wasn't necessarily
a little bit.
being this. What big realizations do you think have came from this journey?
This is one thing I for sure wanted to touch on, is with the relationships and friendships that you create here. Now, you can do it organically in the city, or we've met a lot of people through Twitter or YouTube, or just people that have seen our content and being able to connect in person. The relationships and connections that you make are actually really cool. And you end up finding out, at least for me, I've met a lot of people just traveling the last 4 months more and created new relationships more than I did living in Florida in a new state for 3.5 to 4 years. So I've met more people, created new connections, created more relationships. And a lot of people out here, in my opinion, in the nomad lifestyle and connecting on these social networks, they want to meet up and they want to link up and they want to create these connections because they're not just stagnant in one city or one place. One connection you make or one relationship you make can be a business partner or someone that you can help grow their business or make money off of. Or you may be in a city that they're in the future, and now you have connections already built and people that you can hang out with rather than being, the solo traveler. So a lot of people have been really open to meeting. And they're leaving too, because they're leaving in 3 months and they want to connect and have those relationships. Because, like I said, they might be you might not see them for 9 months, but then all of a sudden they're in the country, or they decide to visit where you're staying because you're there. And so that's a really cool experience that I have noticed. And I've met a lot of really cool people. And there's also a lot of big movers and shakers out here that don't do social media or don't do content that are making great money, and they just love this type of lifestyle. So those are connections that have opened up doors and just new friendships that has been really cool. And I think you can touch on that as well. Like, you've met a lot of people through social media and doing that for a long time.
Because it cuts through the bullshit. So when you're in a certain area for a certain time, or you might never see each other again, you don't need to warm up the relationship. So if I meet someone, like if I'm stationary in a place, usually you want to take it a little slower. You don't know who they know or what's going on. You want to build a relationship, not say anything stupid necessarily. Me, I say a lot of stupid things. But when you meet these people, it's like, hey, this is who I am. Do you like it or not? Because I don't have time to waste. Oh, you like it? Great. Let's hang out more. If you don't, bye-bye. Have a great life. Be nice to people. Don't try to be, like my way or the highway, or, disrespectful. But also, your time is valuable, right? Especially when you're living this sort of lifestyle. But the mask is lifted, okay? Why do I need to fake who I am or try to play politics when I'll never see you again? It doesn't matter. You're not affecting my life. But all of a sudden, oh, wow, we vibe? Damn, we're going to stay in contact. Damn, I'm going to see you in 6 months in this city. Damn, I'm going to see you, whatever it is. And I think a lot of people that live this life, like Chris is here right now, right? Last time I saw him was in 2023, first time in Joe Pessoa. And I feel the same way when I see him here. I don't feel like it's been 2 years.
And now I've met Chris, and that's a relationship and a friendship. But also, compared to the United States, when you're trying to make new friends, it's just what we talked about earlier. Like, you're dealing with people that already have cliques and groups of friends. So it's their friends or their clique comes first before creating a new relationship or going out with you or going to do an activity with you. So lots of times you can be pushed out of the circle that you haven't even gotten in yet because of those pre-built relationships. Out here, there might be one or two people or a few people that have also met, but they're not, in a clique. You're able to connect with them. They're new people. You're not dealing with like trying to get into the circle. So a lot of the times they bring groups of people that maybe they've met a few times before, and now those connections become a spider web. So it's really cool and interesting to experience, but you're not dealing with trying to like prove something to someone or someone else not wanting to act different because they're so used to their community or their clique or their group of friends seeing them in a different way. Everyone here is just kind of naturally themselves because they're in a new place all the time.
Because you have abundance. So a person that sits in the city, there's only a certain amount of groups or cliques or whatnot. When you come here, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm in the sunshine for this amount of time. If I vibe with you, I don't. But also, I'm going to this next city, then I'm going there. Like you're a lot more free to just be who you are, because nothing, for good and bad, is really going to come back to you. Okay, you have a bad time with Joe Schmo over here, but you're never seeing him again. You know what I mean? So you're allowed to be fully yourself for the most part. Now, here's what I'm going to warn you, Zach, okay? Because I met people doing this traveling thing, and you have these times you're hanging out, oh my God, all the time for a month.
Yeah.
Not even just the locals, but, these expat nomad groups. And then you leave, and that's it,
Yeah.
You never talk to them again. So, like, that becomes hard. But how I've learned to deal with it, and as very Buddhist, very Hakuna Matata, is that, hey, I take the time we have together. I enjoy it to the fullest. Whatever happens, it happens, and I do not regret it more. And specifically relating to dating, because this is a big topic for here, every time I felt I met the woman of my dreams, and I thought this is what I want to do, but something was calling me, no, I got to keep exploring. I got to do something, to go to this country, and it would hurt for a while, but then I would see, okay, this wasn't the person necessarily. And then something more better would come along, because I didn't bitch, I didn't pout, I just moved on. And I think this is a great mindset to have about abundance and scarcity, is like, if things are truly meant to be, if this is what's going to happen, yeah, you have to make effort for sure, but it's going to happen, okay? And you can't pout and cry about the past. You enjoy the moment, you enjoy the now, and you go from there.
Yeah, and I would just say, like, follow your intuition when you are traveling, because if you like a place, like here, I was originally supposed to stay 4 weeks. I was thinking about going to Curitiba with him and then Graham, who has also been in Asuncion for 3 months. But I like it here so far, and I like what I have is all near me. I like the gyms, I like my apartment, I like my setup, I like the pricing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay here another 6 weeks. So intuitively, I was like, I'm going to stay here. Same thing if you're in a place and all of a sudden the first couple weeks, you're like, well, get over the first 1 or 2 weeks, because you can't have culture shock in a new country, and just embrace it and try to figure it out. But if you don't feel right in that area, or you don't feel like comfortable in that area, then just go to a new spot. Like, you don't have to stay somewhere. You can stay places longer. Just go where what makes you the most comfortable. Just because other nomads or other travelers love this place doesn't mean you have to love it. Like, it's on Twitter, it's so funny how no one has nuance. They can't love multiple cities or appreciate multiple cities. It's just the city that they stay in the longest. This is the best all be all, but we all have different preferences in what we look for. So go for your preference. That's the selfishness of traveling as well. Do what you want to do. Go to places that you prefer. If you like hole in the wall places, or maybe you like super nice modern places, I mean, go for those areas. So.
Yeah, speaking about selfishness, I believe that if I'm not happy myself, I cannot make other people happy. Okay, so if my whole focus is making sure this person's good, that person is good, I'm destroying myself. And then in the long run, I'm not going to make them happy at all either, right? So I think that's a huge aspect you do learn, when you're all alone on the road by yourself, which you're going to experience, which I'm very curious how that will go, is that your happiness, your mental health, your life has to be a number one priority. Obviously, if you're, God, you believe in God and all that, that goes up there too. But you need to make sure you're good, okay? Because otherwise, you'll be a net negative on everyone else you're surrounding with, which you need. I think to have a complete, fulfilling life is relationships. But a lot of people get stuck in this mindset, and I think you learn that it's not necessarily the correct way to always make other people happy. Okay, when you're on the road, you realize, fuck, if I'm not happy or doing well, I'm gonna end up on the street. Okay, but when I am happy, I'm talking to my doorman. I'm giving them tips. I'm giving them beer. I'm being friendly to all the locals. I'm making a positive difference.
Yeah.
In the area to the people, and that's a big mindset switch I think you have when you start going on the road.
And I'll touch on this, which is like the misconceptions that people have about traveling. Or in my situation, personally, I thought I'd come out here for 3 or 4 months. Then I would head back to the States, get another apartment back in Florida. But now, once I've started doing it, and I think this is why you see a lot of people that are nomads or expats or people that are traveling around continue to do it, is the lifestyle. Like, when I think about, and I think this is important to talk about, which is why I want to bring it up, I thought I was going to be here 3, 4 months, head back, like I said. But then once I was out here, and I'm like, it is so much easier to go to a city or extend in a city, get an apartment for half the price as I would in the States. If I were to go back to Florida, it's like you have to go back, then you're stuck. It's like owning a home. You sign a 12-month lease or an 18-month lease. Now you're there. Now you're back to paying car insurance. You're back to driving everywhere. You're back to paying medical insurance. Like all of these additional things, you're pretty much locking in for $3,000 a month, no matter what, without even thinking about food, just because of all the extra stuff. Now I'm out here, I'm living good in an apartment that would cost me $2,000 to $2,500 in the same place that I would be. Yeah, I don't have the beach, miss the beach, but I can find that other places out here. And it's so much easier to just get an Airbnb for 2-3 months, a month, and just go that way. Eat well, meet new people, and now I'm starting to experience like the connections I'm making, the lifestyle of not having to be tied down to one area, and like also a lot of you have options. Like you have multiple options and places you can go without being tied down to one place, which is really cool. And it's also why I'm continuing to travel right now. And I think that's why a lot of people that do the nomad stuff continue to do it because of that. And like, yeah, out here I went to the hospital because I got sick, something with my stomach, and I got blood work done and ultrasound and a checkup. It cost me $70. In the US, without health insurance, as a contractor and entrepreneur, that's $3,000 to $5,000 out of pocket just for all of those same things. So you do end up saving money, but lifestyle can be better even though you don't have all of the conveniences like Amazon at your doorstep every day, or so much variety of certain options and massive Targets and Walmarts and all of that. So I think that is just something good to touch on, because a lot of people think they're going to go and travel for a couple of months and then it kind of reels you back in, because the lifestyle of being able to have options and choices is a lot better than being tied down and stuck.
Yeah, I mean, obviously someone could say, oh, okay, just make more money and cost of living, et cetera. But it's really a mindset switch when you get out of the USA system about being trapped and not being trapped, okay? Like there is a big rat race. There's a big hustle culture. There is a lot of things that kind of put you in a box, and it's on you to get out of the box, whether it's in the USA or out of the USA. And I love the USA. He says, oh, Nick, you used to talk shit, but now you're Mr. Pro USA. We can talk about that too. But this lifestyle starts making you understand, damn, I am free. I do feel like I'm a kid again, where my imagination is going wild. What is next? Oh my God. I don't know where I'm going to be. Well, now I do. I know where I'll be the next 6 months, but normally I don't know where I'll be in a couple months. It's freaking crazy. Like, before I signed the contract in Curitiba, I had no idea. And that's how life is so different compared to someone who's got a normal job. They know this city, they're going to stay there. Like, where your life's going to be for 30, 40 years, So like when I'm thinking, my brain is going, it's like, damn, things are going to happen, new things could happen. And there's always like an outlook, a positive outlook. Now, is it sustainable? Is it lasting? I don't know. But just the feeling of it, just learning, just understanding life is invaluable in my opinion. That's the biggest thing with you. And you've talked about before. And for all you who want to take the jump but are too scared or not, it's not the time yet. You did the same thing. You could have been doing the same thing a couple years ago, but you said, no, it's not the time. It's not the time. It's not right.
Yeah, I mean, I pushed it off for a while. Like I said, he's been on me about it for like 2 years, but for whatever reason, I was like, I want everything. And this is the same exact thought process that every single person is going to have. It's like, I want everything to be perfect. I want all the stars to align. Then I'll finally do it. And I got to this point in Florida where I felt like I wasn't creating new friendships or relationships for like 12 to 18 months. And it almost felt like I was living in my hometown, just in another area without as many people that I was close with. And he kept pushing me for a few months, and I was like, I kind of want a change of pace. I think it'll reignite my energy, and I'll be able to meet new people, and good things will happen, and it'll be a great time for us to create content. So we literally decided to book, a month out from when we left, essentially. So I just said, screw it. My lease is coming up. I don't want to sign a new long-term lease. Let's just do it. And that's pretty much the process of how it happened.
And you weren't in a perfect situation to do it. You just had to make the jump.
No, I wasn't. But at the same point, it goes back to, do I want to be 60 years old with no stories and experiences when I have been talking about. I've also been the travel guy. I do stuff with credit cards and points and miles, and I've been able to travel all across the US for super cheap and be able to meet people and go on different vacations without the high expense of it. And I was like, well, I've been wanting to travel internationally for 3 years. I've been talking about it. And at this point, like, I have a friend that I can do it with. So let's just do it, because why not? I'll have stories, I'll have experiences, I'll be able to talk about where I've been, and maybe I'll keep doing it. And the great thing is, surprisingly, I have met way more. We talked about relationships and friendships and connections. I've met more people out here that are doing more online business and entrepreneurship, and we've had great conversations about business. We've been able to connect on things that we all kind of share a passion for or like talking about. So that has been cool, where even in Florida, I wasn't able to meet as many people that were kind of on the same path or kind of the same ideas or the same things they wanted to do in life. Out here, I've been able to connect with a lot more people that are doing that, which is really cool. So, yeah.
I think the last biggest piece about that, which I admire a lot about you, because I didn't really have to deal with it, kind of, not much, but you didn't really necessarily have the support from close people in your life to do this. A lot of people thought, okay, you're crazy. What are you doing? You know, how are you going to survive? How are you going to make money? What would you say to people who are normally in this situation to be able to be like, no, guys, trust me, I'm going to make it happen?
I mean, that's the selfishness, right? Like, do you have confidence in yourself? Is there a certain type of lifestyle or life that you want? At some point, you have to stop following the game plan that someone else had for you, or the lifestyle that someone else has for you. What do you want? What do you want to do? Do you want to have these experiences? Do you want to meet new people? Do you want to see new places? If that's what you want, then why aren't you trying it? Why aren't you doing it? Because that's what happens. 10 years down the road, you're going to say, I wish I did that. I wish I would have traveled more often. That's what everyone says the older they get. And we had the conversation even with jurors at the Asado the other night, which is like, a lot of people, they rush into, you know, a career and they stay in the same career forever. Or they rush into a family really fast. We want families too. We want kids and whatnot. But then all of a sudden they're 35 or 40 and their kids are growing up and they're wanting to then live the lifestyle that you were living or that you did live. And they're wishing that they had those experiences and those stories. And that's interesting to look back on, as like, well, if that's what I want, I might as well go do it now. And the thing is, I say this every freaking time. You can always go back to where you're from. You can always go back to where your family is, to where your friends are, because in the end, they're going to living their own life, and it won't be much different when you go back. And if that's what makes you feel
different at all.
if that's what makes you feel comfortable, then you can always go back. You can't always go travel 20 years ahead, or I don't even know where I'm going with that, but you can always go back to where you're from and where you're most comfortable with. It's always there.
Every traveler says this. Every time they go back home, they're like, holy shit, nothing has changed. Like, maybe but what's changed is them. So they go in there like, damn, I don't even recognize my old self or recognize this type of environment, but the people there, and if they're happy, Hakuna Matata. If someone is back home,
For sure.
doing their thing, God bless you. But everyone says that, like, the same shit. So now if you took a couple years off, you travel, oh, it didn't work out, and you go back home, okay, great. You don't have 5,000 square foot house and a 80-inch TV, but do you need that? I think when you travel, you learn you don't really freaking need that. There's a lot more valuable things in life that you will understand once you travel than a big house and a big TV. But that is the biggest point, I think, for a lot of people that are on the brink of jumping into the deep end, that if you've been feeling this, the calling for a while, there's never going to be a perfect time, okay? You're going to have people saying, what are you doing? You're crazy, this and that. But you just got to do it, okay?
For yourself.
And like you said, Zach, before, like, you felt you were 23 the other day, right?
Time flies the older you get. Time absolutely flies. All of a sudden you're 25, 26, and you've gone 3-4 years have passed by, and it's just, you get older and things move quickly. And it's like, once you start noticing that time moves so fast, like, you have to take action on the things that you want to do, or else you are going to be that person at 40 that says, I wish I would have done that. Do you want to do that? Who knows? I mean, I guess you'll find out when you're 40. But I also will say, the same thought process that I had, there's a girl from my city that literally, because I'm the one traveling and doing this and posting about it and talking about it, she, over the last few months, has reached out to me asking how it is, literally had the same exact thing. You know, I'm living back home. I just feel like everything's kind of the same. Me and my friends do the same things. I'm getting bored and not as excited about life. I really want to be able to go out and experience new places and new things. And because I did it and I took the chance, now I can provide help and guidance on like, hey, yeah, absolutely. If that's what you want to do, take the jump. I even have offered like, hey, we can meet up in these cities just like Nick and I did, and we can meet up here. And that way I can show you the ropes of nomading and traveling and having someone there that can show you around and what it's like in a new country initially. So you're not completely alone as a girl. So it's like everyone has those thoughts. So ask questions if you ever have friends doing it, and maybe meet up with them in other places to be able to help you kind of integrate into the nomad or solo traveling, because yeah, you'd rather make the experiences, the stories, the new connections, and also yeah.
If you can get someone to do it with you, do it 100%. But if not, just fucking take the risk, okay?
Yeah.
That Jack, I did a podcast with him, and he did in the Guadalajara by himself, and with everyone saying, "Oh my God, you're crazy," and it was a beautiful time. Like, you're gonna experience it this next month, even though you know some of these guys. But I hope you go out by your own and do all that. It will fucking blow your mind, and you're gonna learn so much more about yourself. Like I said, when we're hanging around, yeah, I've known you since you were little, so we can talk shit about different things, or I can put my image of who I think you are, okay? Because we grew up together, but we didn't see each other for many years. But you have this image, and everyone deals with this when they're around people they've known for a while, that their image, and some people take on that image, okay? Your group thinks you're that guy in the group, you become that guy in the group. Instead of being all alone and saying, damn, no, I want this, I am, et cetera, et cetera. That's what you get solo traveling. It's all you. Your balls, no language you speak, nothing, totally different world. And that's how you figure out if you like freaking betting on NFL football, or you like dancing salsa, or you like Mendoza wine, or et cetera, et cetera. This is how you really figure out what's going on, not programmed by your friends, your family, your culture, your religion, fucking social media, all that stuff. This is where it actually gets real, and you self-actualization, getting a little drunk. This is what you realize.
But that is, you need to be alone and in your own thoughts and in a new place by yourself and figure out like what you want. And like he said, instead of having other people tell you what they want out of you or what they expect out of you, being alone in your own thoughts, thinking about how you want your life to be, is a great way to be able to make those changes and operate in a new identity. You can't just be the same person forever. If you want to make more money, have a new career, be in a new country, have a different like wife that's Colombian or Argentina, I don't know, rather than a Western girl, like you have to kind of develop a new identity and a new sense of self. And you'll never learn more than being by yourself in your own thoughts, doing solo travel. That's also the great thing, is you build up more confidence, and you also start to understand yourself instead of going, should I do this? And then asking the opinions of others who don't have the same outlook as you. So.
Yeah, 100%. I think people, they come down here and they realize pretty quick, damn, I can't just sit in my room and watch Netflix, or I'm going to go crazy, and I need to go out there and talk to people and find different things and experience things by myself. And I've always been a person that's been, okay, if you want to follow me, great. If not, I'll be the lone wolf type of person. So I know a lot of people aren't like that. They need their hand held.
The delusional confidence. Nick has delusional confidence, which is great because it lets him operate the way he operates. It's the way he gets things done and somehow ends up in...
It's not delusional when
it's good.
Reality backs it up. But when reality doesn't back it up, that means you need to take a step back and think clearer.
But in general, everyone at some point in their life needs to have delusional confidence, whether it's in their self, in their business, in whatever. For you to be able to get to the position that you want to, you have to have that confidence in yourself. So it's a good trait to have, is developing delusional confidence. And I think he does it very well.
Gracias. My main point was, I'm trying to relate to someone that is used to, maybe being a follower or need their hand held, is that if you take this jump, your whole freaking brain is going to shatter, and you're going to realize that I was just doing what everyone else told me to do. I was going to go to the university because they told me to do that. I like rap music because it's popular. I watch NFL. Dude, I play the sport. I get paid for the sport and I can't stand watching it. I went back to the USA and every single person from my age, younger, older, was like, okay, I know this person's injured. I'm going to bet on this line. And the biggest thing in the world was that their NFL team won. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. This has nothing to do with you. Maybe make some money at the betting, but I guarantee you, if you grew up in a different culture, you wouldn't care about American football. Do you know why? Because the rest of the world loves soccer, right?
They don't even play football on the TVs here. It's literally a bunch of soccer games. That's Sports Center, all soccer.
This is crazy. Cultural programming, and people do not understand it until they get out of their own bubble. And that's the best thing traveling does. It is psychedelic. It's a trip. You take a psychedelic drug, you go crazy. The same thing when you go from Munich in Germany to Mombasa in Kenya. It's a whole different way of life, whole different way of seeing the world, whole different way of feeling. And that's what a lot of people never, ever experience. Going to Cancun in a hotel zone for a week, sipping margaritas and pina coladas on the beach is not travel. You know what I mean? Going to a fucking
Poblado?
No, going to a Pueblo
Pueblo?
in the Yucatan, for a month by yourself is a whole different world. You know what I mean? So everyone's got to do it. I don't know how long it lasts. I'm slowing down, but just fucking do it. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy Zach did it. What?
But at the same time, you notice that there's amazing people everywhere you go.
99% of people.
Don't listen to any of that bullshit. There's amazing people in every country. And they far outweigh the bad from what you hear. So, yeah.
How good have the Hoolies treating you in Argentina?
Great. Amazing.
Yeah. Like, literally, didn't even just random people you met at Mundulingo, and they've welcomed you in, done all these different things. Like, this is most people in the world. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about propaganda in USA. Everyone else is bad. We're starting to not realize that. But, like, the world is good. Very good people. And if you have a good vibe, trust me, the vibe comes back on you tenfold.
And, like, the asados. Like, I remember we talked about this. I remember growing up and doing barbecues and stuff like that. And what I've noticed is that doesn't really happen as often. Like, the whole neighborhood gets together, all friends and family get together for a barbecue. Something really cool in South America and Argentina and Paraguay is asados. Like, it's a bunch of random people getting together. My Airbnb host invited us to an asado and he didn't even speak English. He didn't even speak any English. I barely speak much Spanish. And he invited like 8 to 10 of his other tenants. And he says he does it because he wants other people to connect. He likes that there's different types of people and different types of business owners like coming to this country. And he wants other people to create friendships and relationships off of that. And that's something that like I'd rarely get in the US, is that my landlord invites me to a get together to meet other people. So it's really cool. They do that here often. Like, it's very common for them to do Wednesdays or Thursdays, family, friends, all your brothers, your boys, whatever, amigos, amigas, they all come and hang out for the entire night. You grill out, you get together, and it's like that family vibe. So it's a really cool to experience, because it's something that I've noticed being in the US doesn't happen as often. Obviously, it could be technology, the culture, all of that. It's more of like going to the bars than let's just get together for a nice dinner as friends or cook in someone's home and do all of that, which is cool.
Now you're going to take that back home and incorporate it into life. Yeah. That's what you learn traveling. Okay, let me ask you this. Through the last 4 months, what is some things you would do differently? And also, what are some things I did bad that I could have done better, travel with you?
Differently, I think I'd be a little bit more strategic about like traveling.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think I really liked Buenos Aires, but it like threw me off because right as I was moving Airbnbs, we went on like a 10-day trip, and it threw me off being in like a whole new neighborhood. I bought the Airbnb for we were gone for 10 days. So then I spent 10, 12 days extra for no reason. So that, I mean, there wasn't really anything I would probably even go out and socialize more often. Some of the people like meet up with Jack a little bit more, or some of the other people in Buenos Aires as well. You specifically, I don't know, just being Mr. Travel Nova. I call him the Casanova, but Mr. Travel Nova, he's traveled for like 6 years. So sometimes he's got a big head that he feels like he understands traveling and like the environment and the people more than you do, but like we're all different people. Like the way that he travels and operates is different than the way that I travel and operate. And sometimes he just like would push the way that he does things
Trying to put you in a box.
on me, like even when multiple people in the group are like, dude, like I don't even feel.
But my way is the best way.
Yeah, I say it's Nick's life. We're just living in it sometimes. And so, I mean, but it does push you out of your boundaries. But at some point it's just like, dude, let's relax a little bit. But I'm sure you would probably say the same with certain things that I've done. So
that's it.
What about you? Last 4 months, is there anything that you would have done differently or changed?
But hold on. So just strategically traveling. And that was mostly because I had a free apartment in Buenos Aires. So I was like, yeah, if I want to travel, it's not going to cost me a dime and Hakuna Matata. But I also was like, damn, you need to experience getting this invitation to Pigüe. You know what I mean?
And one of the funniest nights that we had was in Pigüe, which we won't go too in depth on, but I mean, it was hilarious. Like it's a funny moment that'll be etched in my brain. So yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it to meet Martin and have that experience with Martin, one of his friends that he met in Egypt, which then translated to meeting him in Argentina. But yeah, strategically, it was just like, he's more of a, just all of a sudden 2 days later, we're going to go on this trip. We're going to do this. And I'm like, I would rather plan something out so I know when I'm leaving and I can, schedule things out versus just get up and going.
But here's where I push back on this is that these always become the best memories if you take the opportunity. You understand? So like some random guy says, hey, I want you to go to this city in 3 hours and look at my farm and meet my family. You have to take these opportunities, okay? Even if it costs you money with your Airbnb and whatnot, you will appreciate it more in the long run. Preferably, yeah, you schedule it, you do all that, but always take the unique travel opportunities, right? Everyone goes to Buenos Aires. Everyone goes to fucking Bariloche, and you can have that same experience. But when some local guy says, I'm going to take you to the middle of freaking nowhere, and we're going to have sada with the boys, we're going to go to bars that no women are allowed.
Yeah, but that wasn't regretting that. I said I was happy I did that. It was just the timing of it.
I'm speaking overall. Like, even if it's going to cost you some money or whatnot, just take the freaking opportunity. What I would have done differently...
knowing Nick, he never has regrets. So.
That's true. But I think it was really good when I was with Jake in Mexico is we made a thing like, hey, every day waking up at 5 a.m. and we're going to the cafe and we're going to work and get things done. And then we go do, crazy stuff. We didn't really put that together. We still went to the cafe. We still got, a lot of work in, but getting on like a crazy schedule with your boy who's doing content too, and making more maybe business moves would been better. But
even working out, we worked out together once. It was like good working out together. We probably should have worked out like more consistently together because it's always good to have someone pushing you. And
now we're playing catch at least more often, which is good. But that's a great thing too. Like if you go to the city with a dude, you're going to the gym together. I wouldn't say every day going to the same cafe, but like if you can have a gym bro, I mean that's freaking amazing, right? Like have conversations during that time, but also getting fit. So yeah, I think those the things I would do different.
Yeah, I say let's start wrapping this up. I
thought you were gonna ask me questions.
Well, I was.
It's our last one for a while.
Back and forth with you. I mean, okay. After your first time traveling with a childhood friend. How much do you guys think he's going to miss my presence being Mr. Solo Traveler? Now he's got a guy, and now he won't have someone to just call up, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, follow Nick's lead. I mean, I think he's going to act like the tough guy and be like, I do this, but he's going to miss it.
So here's the difference, because now I'm going into the situation where I'm thrown into a community.
Yeah,
So I'm not like back on the road solo dolo, but yeah, dude, I mean, it's great to be like, hey, let's go explore a different place. Let's do some, taking photos of each other, doing, content, meeting new people. Like, yeah, like I prefer traveling, especially with someone I'm close with, than, necessarily doing solo. You need to mix in solo for sure, but the pros 10x outweigh the cons of not going with someone but you need breaks, you need separation, you need all that. And he's not done with me. He's going to come to Curitiba.
We'll see. I have options. I could go to Lima, I could go to Mexico. I could go to Curitiba, maybe North Brazil. there's options out here. So we'll see. But that's the good thing. They're going to be there for him and Graham are going to be there for 6 weeks. I'll be able to get the lay of the land. Well, before I'm there, and then or a few weeks. So I'll get the lay of the land, and we'll see whether I meet up with them again or, Zach treks a little solo for a little bit.
I think it'll be good. I'm excited to do, either in person or online about your month solo in Paraguay. Even though you know some people now here, but no, it's good, man. I appreciate Zach a lot. We fight a lot, but it's been a pleasure. It's been beautiful. I hope we have another time because what's crazy is this: we could look back and this is all we did. Something changes in our life. I get married. I settle down.
Wow,
I give up traveling. But
maybe I find a girl and I get married.
Yeah. But we have the Bariloche reel, the Tigre, the vlogs, the Buenos Aires, the sunshine. We have all these memories. It's beautiful
that you can look back on.
So people are scared to create, and it's just sad.
Do it to have stuff to look back on. What I noticed is I actually just tried to create content a few years ago, even back in the U.S. with a lot of the guys trips I did with my friends, and not a lot of them, but a few of them would, make comments like, why do you have a camera out? Why are you recording this stuff? What you end up finding out is who the fuck cares, first of all? And then second of all, at least you have something to look back on. One of the videos I made when I played college baseball at Nebraska, I made one video. It's like the first video on my YouTube channel. It's like 7 minutes long and it's from like just 2 weeks of travel. It's terribly put together video, but it's these small little moments of when we were traveling as a baseball team. And I have friends from that team, still teammates that reach out to me every single year. And they're like, I watched that video. It brought back memories. I fucking love having that there to check out. And that's what's really cool. All of these videos, the things that you can create, the memories you can create, it's so worth it to be able to look back on it because you'll forget about it. As much as you think you won't forget about it, the memories will start fading one by one. You'll have 3 or 4 things that you can look back on and talk to people about. And it's just those small moments. But then you watch that video and you'll be like, holy cow, I remember that exact street I was on. I remember that exact area. I remember what happened that day. Those people that I met that I totally forgot about. And that is what's really cool about creating. Yeah, it's hard. There's a lot more that goes into creation than most people think. It is a lot of work. But if you're a major outsourcer like Mr. Nick, you can save some time. But yeah, it's still really cool to do. And it's also like, once you do it, the more you do it, the better you get at it and the less you think about it. So,
and the more you get from it, people start saying, wow, this inspired you. You start getting good connections. But your point was when you said we watched that video of Chris's video and me and him were just cheesing,
They pulled up a video when they were together in 2023 in Joe Pessoa or Fortaleza or something. And, I just looked at both of them as they were watching it, and they're sitting there with smiles on their face like it's bringing back memories.
Reliving it.
Yeah, they're reliving, that exact moment. So that is what's really cool, and I do the same thing when I see videos. And, sometimes I'm also like embarrassed, but I laugh at it, and then you see the growth of, yourself in that period of time. Like it's really cool to look back on and be able to document.
It's another form of jumping in the deep end. If you can put a freaking video to your face and throw it on YouTube and whatever these clowns say to you, usually there's never negativity unless the video blows up, but it's beautiful to do and I highly recommend it. Now, don't be the guy that's recording freaking everything. You need to enjoy the moment sometime. Like when I go to a place for like a couple days, I'll take photos the first day, every time. And then after, boom, you got to put the phone down. But start recording, start creating. If it's painting, if it's videoing, if it's anything, like just fucking do something. Stop being a wimp, live a little, be beautiful. And now we're done. So Zach, it's been a pleasure. I hope I see you in Brazil.
Fun and pleasure.
See.
We'll have a great time. We have plenty of other conversations on the channel that you guys can check out as well. And subscribe to both of our channels. And of course, if you guys want to see more brotherly content around South America and Latin America, it might push us to hang out again after this next week. Let us know in the comments.
And live bold.